Feeling a bit like a ship without an anchor lately, a little disconnected maybe, or just completely swamped by the constant hum of technology
Oh, yeah.
and the pressure to achieve more and that, relentless chase for something called work-life balance.
Absolutely. It's everywhere.
If any of that resonates, well, you are definitely not alone.
It really is the modern landscape, isn't it? I mean, we're surrounded by more screens than people sometimes, and they're multiplying, what, 5 times faster than we are. It's so easy for life to feel like it's just happening to us.
Instead of us living it.
Right.
Yeah.
Rather than us actively, living it.
And then there's all the internal noise, that feeling that the bar just keeps rising, maybe because we've lost our own sense of what enough even means anymore. We end up letting external signals, social media likes or how many appointments we jammed into a day dictate our worth. It's just exhausting.
It is. And it often leads to blaming this elusive work-life balance, which, as our source material points out, isn't just difficult to achieve.
It's maybe built on a shaky idea to begin with.
Exactly. Faulty premises.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Our source material for this deep dive comes from excerpts of Life, Incorporated, a practical guide to wholehearted living.
Right.
And our mission today is really to take a deep dive into these pages to understand what it means to build a wholehearted, connected life by starting from the inside out.
Yeah, and the book gives us this really powerful metaphor to work with. The living tree.
A living tree, okay.
It structures the journey through its foundation, its inspiration, expression, and finally, its impact.
Foundation, inspiration, expression, impact. Got it.
And here's where it gets really compelling, I think, and grounded. The author, she didn't just sit down and, write this in a vacuum.
Uh-huh.
She came to these ideas, especially the focus on individual well-being, right as her own life was going through what she calls a complete yard sale.
Wow, a yard sale. What does that mean? Career stuff.
Yeah, we're talking major career upheaval, serious financial stress, some really painful relationship losses, just everything kind of falling apart at once.
Oof. So she was basically test driving the very strategies she was developing for others in the middle of her own crisis.
Exactly that. Every single component was put through its paces, She talks about how even after she got her physical health back after losing a job, she realized she was still really fragile inside because her inner life was just full of this unaddressed toxicity, sort of mired in feelings of loss and unworthiness.
So she had to live it to write it, essentially.
Totally. She had to let go of old fantasies, really sit in the rubble of her emotions to rebuild. It just makes the material feel incredibly real and rigorously tested, not just theory.
That personal element is really powerful. It adds so much weight. So the core framework is building this interconnectedness across everything, using the tree as our guide.
Right.
The soil is our foundation.
That's the base.
The roots are inspiration.
What feeds us.
Branches are expression.
And we reach out.
And the leaves are our impact.
You got it. And the foundation, that soil, that's where everything begins. It's the base that determines whether our tree can even, stand strong and thrive.
It's like gardening, right? You wouldn't just stick a plant in any old dirt. You've got to prepare the soil first.
Precisely. You can have the best sapling, but if the soil isn't healthy, it just won't flourish. Our foundation needs that same mindful cultivation, thinking about what nourishes it, what might be depleting it.
Okay. So the source breaks the foundation down into 3 crucial elements.
Yes. Our inner life, our physical well-being, and our environment.
Inner life, physical well-being, environment. Let's start digging into the soil of our inner life first.
Okay. So this begins with the importance of connecting back to ourselves first, this idea of coming back home.
Coming back home. I like that.
Yeah. Especially if, maybe you felt untethered growing up, needing to sort of modify yourself for approval, or maybe dealing with love that felt conditional. Those kinds of experiences can leave you feeling unworthy right at your core.
That makes sense. It creates a disconnect early on.
And life being impermanent means losing that connection is just a normal part of being human. But the good news, and a really key insight from the book, is that reconnecting is always possible. That choice to turn inward is always available to you.
Okay, but what gets in the way? A big barrier seems to be how we handle negative emotions.
Oh, huge.
The source has this really vivid description, using the author's own experience after losing her job, literally running herself into the ground.
Yeah, vomiting on a run, passing out. Just physical collapse.
And she calls running face first into feelings like slamming into a mirror. Ouch.
That image really sticks, doesn't it? And the painful insight she gained from that was realizing how we treat others what we believe, say, do or don't do for them is often a direct reflection of how we feel about ourselves.
Especially under stress.
Especially under stress, yeah, or when we're grappling with some deep emotional trauma.
That makes so much sense. When we're not okay inside, it spills out. And this avoidance, or we're just not processing things, it can lead to these really painful negative loops, right? Getting stuck.
Totally stuck. In emotional chaos, we can misinterpret these fleeting thoughts as like profound truths, grabbing onto them and just getting tossed around on these choppy emotional waves.
Instead of just letting them float by like clouds.
Exactly. And ignoring feelings or over-identifying with them, they're just two sides of the same dangerous coin. The book uses the term emotional hoarder, which feels pretty apt.
Emotional hoarder, yeah, I can see that. So what's the way out of that loop then?
Well, acknowledging the emotion is presented as the really vital first step. That's how you begin to dislodge it.
Just noticing it.
Noticing and naming it. Therapy, for example, is described as helping you walk through the emotions instead of being completely consumed by them. There's this analogy of holding the door shut against a flood of feeling.
Right, you hold it off for a bit.
But it just builds pressure, creates long-term consequences. You end up dragging even more baggage around later.
That Chinese proverb fits perfectly here, doesn't it? If you are patient in one moment of anger, you will escape 100 days of sorrow.
Beautiful. Patience in acknowledging, not resisting.
So that leads right into mindfulness practice.
It does. It's about observing those thoughts and emotions without immediately judging them or getting totally wrapped up in them.
Letting them have space.
Allowing them space to exist and then, pass. Tara Brach's phrase, attend and befriend, is highlighted, initially for negative feelings, but the source says it's helpful for everything, even positivity.
Attend and befriend your own internal experience. Wow, that sounds like a really fundamental shift.
It really is. And the key takeaway here is the commitment to a daily practice, even a small one.
Start small.
Yeah, the source really stresses starting small, maybe just 2 minutes. There's this intense therapy example where the author just listed out loud anger, rage, hurt, trash.
Just naming them.
Just naming them. And she felt a shift, even right there in the midst of all that pain. Just the act of acknowledging can begin that clearing process. The win is actually doing the practice, not how long you did it for.
That's a great reframe. It lowers the barrier. And it's not just about dealing with the tough stuff, is it? The Inner Life Foundation also involves actively cultivating positivity.
Oh, absolutely. Our brains are kind of hardwired for survival.
Yes.
Right? Constantly scanning for threats, problems.
The negativity bias.
Exactly. So happiness can sometimes feel, ethereal or fleeting because its signal is naturally weaker than those alarm bells of negativity. We have to actively heighten our awareness to it.
The source calls this putting your joy on blast. I love that. How do we actually do that intentionally?
Well, the visiting hours practice is a really cool tool for this. It involves intentionally recalling happy moments, like really visiting them, like you would a guest in your home. Then you name the specific thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations you experienced in that moment. And after each one, you add the word yes. Maybe even embody a little half smile.
So it's not just remembering, it's reliving and affirming it with that yes.
Exactly. It's like training your brain to notice and amplify those positive signals that are already there.
And noticing the small stuff, too.
Definitely. The first sip of coffee, the way the light hits the leaves, maybe a squirrel doing something funny. The more you practice noticing and affirming these positive moments, the stronger that channel for positivity becomes in your brain. It's like building a muscle.
Okay. And the third piece of this Inner Life Foundation is nurturing.
Yes. Annie Dillard's quote is such a classic here. How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives.
Hits hard every time.
It really does. It just underscores the need to be intentional about what we're planting in our inner world. What we focus on, that's what grows.
So starting each day with intention.
Crucial. Simple tools like mantras can help, whether they're traditional, like RAM or Sat Nam, or just a phrase you create for yourself like, I change my thoughts, I change my world. There are ways to program positive support, to seed the mental garden you want to cultivate.
It's not about being perfect, but making that conscious effort each day.
Exactly. Yeah. You can stagger these practices, awareness, connection, nurturing throughout the day. But the key is that daily commitment, even just 5 to 10 minutes for each. Consistency is what builds that inner strength.
Okay, that covers the inner life piece of the foundation. Moving on to the second element, our physical well-being.
Right. And the source really takes aim at the modern always-on, never-sleep culture.
Yeah, the hustle culture.
Totally. It makes a really stark point.
Uh-huh.
We can replace our tech easily, but we can't replace our bodies.
True. So sleep is a big one here.
Huge. It's called the most powerful, underutilized, overlooked, and downright abused tool we have. The health risks of sleep loss are just staggering, like quadrupled stroke risk for getting less than 6 hours. Increased rates of obesity, diabetes, memory impairment.
Yeah.
It goes on. Aiming for 7 to 9 hours isn't a luxury. It's fundamental maintenance for your body and brain.
And being mindful of sleep habits too, right? Not just relying on quick fixes.
Yeah, avoiding over-reliance on things like melatonin,
Yeah.
which can actually mess with your body's natural production if you use it all the time. It's about being kind to your nervous system so it can actually rest and repair properly.
Makes sense. What about nutrition?
Nutrition is the next piece. The book advocates for more of an 80-20 approach rather than super rigid rules.
80-20, okay.
Yeah, it's more about intentionality. Identifying your personal dietary demons. Sugar, caffeine, salt, unhealthy fats, alcohol, and figuring out your specific Achilles heel, the one you really struggle with.
Sugar gets called out specifically, right?
Oh, yeah. As particularly insidious because of its powerful, repeatable reward message in the brain. Unlike some other substances where the high diminishes, with sugar, you get that initial rush pretty much every single time. It keeps you coming back.
The author's story about the donut after the triathlon?
Oh, the old dirty bastard donut, yes. Chocolate, peanut butter, Oreos. The works.
Sounds amazing, but probably not the best recovery fuel.
Not at all. She paired it with a bottle of wine, thinking she'd earned it.
And the fallout was?
Immediate sugar headache, violent digestive issues within an hour, then a 2-day mental fog, snapping at people, feeling depressed and totally unproductive. Lost an entire writing day.
Yikes. A hellish 48-hour detox just from a donut and some wine. That really drives home how powerful that chemical reaction is in our bodies.
It really does. And the practical application of the 80-20 rule here is looking at it over the week, not just the hour or the day.
Okay, so 20% isn't a daily thing.
Right. 20% might mean one serving of one of those demons in a whole wink. And crucially, the advice is keep your biggest temptation, your Achilles heel, out of the house.
Don't rely on willpower alone.
Exactly. If it's not there, you can't eat it impulsively when the craving hits.
Smart. Any other quick nutrition tips from the source?
Yeah. Grocery shopping strategically, sticking mostly to the perimeter for fresh stuff, produce, dairy, proteins, and being really mindful in the center aisles.
Yeah.
And a reminder that healthy fats are important for feeling full, correcting some of that old low-fat messaging.
Good point. Okay, and the final element of physical well-being is movement and exercise.
A non-negotiable, not just for the body, but critically for the mind, too.
Right. The mental health link.
Absolutely. Without regular movement, we're much more susceptible to things like depression. The source mentions a Johns Hopkins list of risks, but then cites a 2012 abstract that's even more sobering.
Oh.
Identifying lack of exercise as a primary cause or contributing factor for 35 chronic conditions.
35 preventable conditions.
Right.
Wow, that's huge.
It really underscores that exercise isn't just about fitness or weight. It literally brings life. Daily movement is crucial, even if it's just standing up, taking walk breaks.
And finding a balance in intensity.
Yes, that's important too. The author talks about her tendency to always go hard, but learning she needed slower, more supportive forms like Pilates and yoga as well. It's about listening to your body.
And it boosts those happy chemicals, dopamine, serotonin.
Exactly. It's a reminder that we're not just these floating brains, Our bodies are the physical vessel holding our life force. Honoring that temple with movement is vital.
Okay. Inner life, physical well-being. Which brings us to the third element of the foundation, our environment.
Right. Our surroundings and, crucially, the people in our lives. They profoundly affect us.
Like the tree in the forest analogy, it needs the right soil, the right climate, the right neighbors to thrive.
Exactly. Rooting ourselves in life-giving soil. And this definitely includes our people environment. Relationships take conscious effort. We aren't just passively dropped into great connections, we have to actively cultivate them.
And the danger comes when we start twisting ourselves into knots, trying to please others, right? Compromising who we are just to fit in or avoid conflict.
Yes. And sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is to, as the book puts it, sail free of relationships that are toxic or consistently drain your energy.
Sailing free, how do you figure that out?
It suggests using a relationship gauge, basically. Honestly assessing if the cost of maintaining a particular connection is just too high for your own well-being.
It's easy to feel guilty about letting go, though.
Yeah.
Like, we should try to hold on to every relationship forever.
The source addresses that directly. It says trying to hoard relationships is unnatural, even compares it to Gollum with his precious.
Okay.
Relationships are impermanent by nature. The focus really needs to be on the influence a relationship has on you right now. Is it mostly positive or mostly negative? You're the captain of your own ship, responsible for who you allow on deck.
I like that framing. So it's about defining your intentional community.
Exactly. Defining your kula, that's a Hindu term for an intentional community of the heart. It's a proactive choice about who is in this core group, and holding them and yourself accountable for the influence you have on each other.
And there's an exercise for this.
Yeah, listing people and categorizing them. Suns radiate positive energy. Planets are mostly positive, maybe neutral. Moons tend to require more energy than they give. And black holes, well, they consistently radiate negativity.
But black holes sounds ominous.
And the strong suggestion is remove the black holes from your orbit, at least temporarily, for your own well-being. Even removing a moon might be temporary and could prompt positive shifts. It requires self-compassion, too, acknowledging that relationships evolve and sometimes ending them is the kindest thing for everyone.
That makes sense. What about the physical environment, our actual surroundings?
That matters hugely, too, your sense of place. The book shares how powerfully different locations felt to the author, comparing like a sterile LA hotel surrounded by screens to her home in the Northwest near water and mountains. One felt draining, the other nourishing.
The environment literally vibrates with you.
Yeah, like homing pigeons. You vibrate in places that speak to your soul, and you feel rattled or off-kilter in environments that feel inhospitable. The question is, why compromise if you have a choice about where you put down roots? There's a Rumi quote used. Why do you stay in prison when the door is so wide open?
That's a powerful question. But what if you can't just pack up and move right now? How do you figure out your ideal physical environment?
There's an exercise called Find Your Sense of Home. It involves recalling moments where you felt most peaceful or alive and really digging into the sensory details, the smells, the sounds, the light, the textures, even the food or cultural habits associated with that place.
So you identify the key ingredients of your ideal home.
Exactly. And the goal then becomes finding ways to bring those specific elements into your current environment, even if it's just adding certain plants, changing the lighting, playing specific music, or incorporating small daily rituals that evoke that feeling.
It's about not feeling trapped, using what makes one place sing and another feel hollow to consciously shape your current nest.
Precisely. Don't lock yourself in a habitat where you feel like you're constantly climbing the walls.
Okay, so that's the foundation, the soil, the crucial base of our inner life, physical well-being, and environment. Now, let's move up the tray to the roots. Inspiration.
Right. Inspiration is what drives us, what compels us, what pours light and energy into us. It's about taking that time to visit with ourselves and identify what genuinely feeds our soul.
Not just what we think should inspire us.
Exactly. And we're so conditioned in the modern world to start with doing, right? But the source makes it really clear. Doing alone isn't sustainable or fulfilling without those strong roots of inspiration underneath it.
And there's a distinction made between doing something out of passion versus doing something with passion.
Yes. The argument is that true reward follows passion, not the other way around. If you pursue what genuinely lights you up, the fulfillment, and often even the external rewards, are more likely to follow naturally. The author even mentions hiring people based on their passion for the work itself.
But inspiration can get buried easily, can't it?
Oh, definitely. Like a deck of cards sinking in water, as the book puts it. If we don't consciously reconnect with it often, and if we lose sight of inspiration, our aspirations can take over.
Ah, the chasing squirrels phenomenon. Getting distracted by external goals, achievements, the next shiny object.
Precisely.
Right.
It just becomes striving without real fulfillment.
Yeah.
Like a hamster on a wheel, running hard but going nowhere meaningful. The book uses a neat tweak on an Einstein quote.
Oh.
Aspirations are the engine that powers the boat, but inspiration is the North Star that guides the course. You have to actually set sail towards your inspiration.
Okay. So how do we connect with that North Star? The source offers some specific tools, right?
Yes, it does. It actually suggests starting with the personal manifesto.
A manifesto. Sounds serious.
It's described as having attitude. It's meant to be a statement of your core principles, maybe even a bold or rebellious call to action for yourself. Something evocative that really resonates deep down.
Like a personal declaration of this is who I am and what I stand for?
Pretty much. And building on that foundation are your core values.
Okay, values.
These are the essential qualities for how you want to show up in the world. And the source says they should both excite you and freak you out a little bit.
Freak you out. Why?
Because living by them authentically will inevitably present moments of struggle, moments where you're tested, where it's hard to hold true.
Identifying them, refining them. That sounds like a deep process.
It is. And the testing of those values is inevitable, often popping up when you least expect it.
Yeah.
The author shares a great story about being offered this really lucrative speaking gig for a pharmaceutical company that, she discovered, conducted animal testing.
Ooh, okay. If animal welfare is a core value, that's an immediate clash.
Huge clash. She describes this intense internal chatter, the devil and angel on her shoulders, weighing the big paycheck against her deep love for animals and her value of courage.
What did she do?
She held true to her value of courage, declined the offer, and felt this immense sense of pride afterward, even though she lost the money.
So living your values isn't always rewarded externally. Sometimes it actually costs you something tangible.
It often does. The universe, or just life, will test your resolve. Holding true might bring judgment, ridicule, maybe even rejection from others. This is why choosing courage as a core value is suggested as being so powerful, it helps you not default on your other values when things get tough.
That makes sense. Okay, manifesto. Core values. What's the third tool for inspiration?
The personal mission statement.
Right, the mission statement.
This is meant to be your concise banner. It provides focus and identifies the impact you want to have. The book offers a simple formula. The value you create, plus who you're creating it for, plus the intended impact.
And value isn't just what you do for work.
Exactly. It's about the essence you bring, the deeper why. It connects back to that Mark Twain quote, right? The two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. Crafting this mission statement is part of discovering that why.
Okay, so with a strong foundation, soil, and deep roots, inspiration, we move up the tree to the branches. Expression.
Right. Expression is the outward action, how we actually make our thoughts, beliefs, feelings known and manifest in the world.
And the key insight here seems to be that our job, our vocation, isn't the only way to express ourselves.
Absolutely not. That's a critical point. We need multiple, diverse ways to express who we are. Vocation is just one avenue. If your deepest inspiration isn't currently earning you money, that doesn't mean you haven't figured it out.
And without mindfulness, our tree can get kind of weird, like a freakish tree.
Yeah, twisted and self-strangling, maybe too many spindly, disconnected branches, or just confused growth going in all directions.
Because our resources are finite.
Exactly. Our time, energy, attention, they aren't unlimited. We need to prune and add new growth intentionally, choosing our life's expressions with conscious intent, not just letting them happen randomly.
Okay, so the source outlines 4 main categories of expression.
Yes. Play, avocation, vocation, and key relationships. And it notes you don't have to identify with all 4. You can prune if one isn't relevant for you right now.
Play is listed first and called the most personal and important, yet often the most forgotten.
It's even called the most irresponsible thing not to do.
Wow, why?
Because it's like putting on your own oxygen mask first. It's time spent purely without a required purpose or outcome. Brene Brown's research on play is referenced, highlighting properties like it's freely chosen, there's no specific outcome needed, you lose track of time, feel less self-conscious.
Finding something where hours pass like minutes, like Carl Jung said.
That's the essence of it. Identifying your play involves looking back at past moments or current activities where you felt that sense of timeless engagement, pure enjoyment. The author's example of ocean swimming.
Right, feeling like a kid again.
Exactly. Losing track of time, just being in the moment. And interestingly, the source suggests that play can often reveal hidden clues about potential avocations or even vocations.
Yeah. Oh, interesting connection there. Okay, so avocation is next. This / career.
Right. Something you do outside your main job that brings you joy, fulfillment, maybe even a little extra income. It can often act as a bridge towards a new vocation if you're looking to make a change.
And there's an exercise for this too, special OPS.
Yeah, special OPS. Opportunities, passions, strengths. It's a tool to help you identify potential avocations or even vocations by looking at the intersection of what excites you, passions, what you're naturally good at, strengths, and where there might be real-world needs or openings, opportunities.
It sounds like Michelangelo sculpting David, chiseling away the superficial stuff to reveal the potential hidden within the block of marble.
That's a wonderful analogy from the book, yes.
Yeah.
Looking for those unexpressed passions and strengths that might become a new, flourishing branch on your tree.
Okay. And then there's vocation, the work you feel genuinely called to do, not just a job you tolerate.
Right. And there's the vocation job spectrum exercise to help figure out where you stand. It involves honestly assessing the percentage of positive versus negative feelings you have about your current work.
And if it's mostly negative?
If it's weighted significantly negative, the source labels it a job, not a vocation.
And the advice isn't necessarily to just suck it up, even if the highs are really high.
Not if you're spending more time overall in that negative space. The source argues that staying there long-term means you're playing small, settling. The advice is more like, get what you need from it for now, skills, money, experience, protect your inner life fiercely while you're there, and start planning your exit strategy.
That's practical. The author talks about her own shift, right? From writing, educating as an avocation to it becoming her primary vocation.
Yes, becoming an author, educator, provocateur as her vocation, and then picking up new avocations like being an athlete and a mentor. The core essence didn't change dramatically, but the structure of her expression evolved.
Okay. And the final category of expression, key relationships.
Yes. These are defined as deep connections chosen by free will, not out of obligation. They involve significant, meaningful interaction, could be physical presence or intentional connection, over distance, and a high level of commitment. You've sort of signed up for them in a big way.
And crucially, they have to stand alone, right? Not just be tied to another role.
Exactly. Your spouse, your child, a very close friend, distinct from just being a coworker you're friendly with or someone you only see at the gym. These relationships need to be consciously tethered to your tree.
Tethered? Why?
To prevent them from drifting away. The analogy used is being in the sea with your back to the shore. If you don't intentionally hold on to them, they can drift into purely transactional or superficial territory without you even noticing. Recognizing them as key relationships helps keep them vital.
And there's an exercise for identifying these two, using those criteria. By choice, significant interaction stands alone.
You got it.
Okay, so we've covered the foundation, soil, inspiration, roots, and expression, branches. Now for the final part of the tree, the leaves, representing impact.
Right. Impact is about your intended targets. Who are you actually doing all this expression for? Who are you intending to reach or affect?
And this section talks about actively designing your life, living intentionally.
Yes. There are exercises to map out your current life versus your ideal life, looking really practically at a typical day or week. Where are you? What are you doing? Who are you with? Who is it for? And importantly, carving out time that's just for you.
And linking activities to meaning, noticing how they make you feel.
Right. Identifying what feels like a luxury, what's a discretionary desire, and what are the absolute requisites, the non-negotiables that must be in your life. And the source strongly advises making sure play is listed as a requisite.
Don't let play fall off the list.
Definitely not. Then it's about life adjusted. How do you start feathering your current reality together with that ideal vision? Intentionally designing your life, whether it involves small tweaks or a major overhaul. It's compared to maintaining a fine piece of equipment that needs periodic adjustments and care.
And acknowledging that obstacles like distraction and self-sabotage are just part of the process.
Absolutely. The author is very open about these being huge hurdles for her, even while writing this very book. Overcoming them involved inner practices and getting external support, like working with a coach.
So for those big blue sky items in your ideal life, you need an action plan.
Yes. Pinpoint the potential obstacles, internal ones like fear, or external ones like lack of time or money. Then craft specific actions, maybe just 2 or 3 concrete steps per obstacle to start addressing them.
And the advice on sharing goals is interesting. Maybe don't tell everyone.
Yeah, the source notes the data is a bit mixed. Sometimes telling everyone can trick your brain into feeling like you've already done it, or it adds unhelpful pressure. Sharing your plan with just one trusted confidant or partner is often more effective. Commitment is the real key.
Okay. And the culmination of all this work is crafting your living tree.
Yes, actually visualizing it, drawing or writing out your connected life. The soil, your foundation elements, the roots, your inspiration sources, the branches, your key expressions roles, and the leaves, your impact targets. It becomes a living visual tool for where you are now or where you want to be.
This all leads back to a really critical concept for daily living, attention and intention. How we choose to spend our limited time has to be intentional.
It's presented almost as do or die for our relationships with ourselves and with others. If we're not paying attention to where our time and energy actually go and setting clear intentions for it, those connections will suffer. The impact is real.
And understanding the reality of time is pretty sobering, doing the math.
It is. Calculating the actual hours spent per week on your different expressions, vocation, avocation, key relationships, play. You start with 168 hours total, take out maybe 56 for sleep, then time for basic eating, chores. You're left with roughly 84 available hours a week. That's about 12 hours a day max.
And the author found she had a deficit.
Yeah, when she mapped her intended activities, she found a 9-hour deficit per week. She was literally borrowing from sleep without realizing it. It's a real wake-up call. It forces you to see that something has to shift. You simply have to make conscious choices.
Which brings us to a really practical tool for navigating daily moments, the difference between primordial and transcendent intentions.
Yes, this feels super applicable day to day. Primordial intentions are driven by our older limbic brain. They often manifest as a physical sensation of struggle, tightness, or urgency, and they're always seeking fulfillment externally.
Like needing validation from someone else, or seeking respect, or buying something to feel a sense of accomplishment.
Exactly. The author's example of feeling financial anxiety about her wife's business, that physical tightness, the emotional static ratcheting up, her primordial intention was seeking external validation, wanting her wife to react the same way she was. Or the example of Linda seeking respect from Beth, bringing all her own baggage and needs into the interaction. These primordial intentions often lead straight to distraction, negativity, and chaos.
Okay, so what's the alternative? Transcendent intentions.
Transcendent intentions come from within, from our more evolved reasoning brain. They bring a sense of ease or calm, and fulfillment is found internally. The key insight here is that just identifying which mode you're in helps you shift back towards transcendence. It's about embodying the quality you desire.
Embodying it, how?
If you desire courage, you choose to act courageously in that moment. If you desire comfort or understanding, you offer comfort or understanding first. The realization is, we are the source of what we seek.
Wow, so we stop looking outside for it.
Exactly. Nothing external provides lasting results in that way. And you can look for indicators in yourself. The physical sensation, struggle versus ease, like the author's chest tightening, is a clue for primordial, and the narrative, the story you're telling yourself about the situation.
That distinction is incredibly helpful. Just noticing the physical feeling could be enough to pause.
And the suggestion is to practice just noticing these indicators for maybe 14 days, just to see your patterns. The goal isn't perfection, it's awareness. Before reacting or jumping into an interaction, pause. Scan your intentions. Can you identify the transcendent intention you want to embody? Name it. Then try to act from that place.
And this applies to planning your week, too, not just writing a task list.
Yes, setting intentions beyond just the to-dos, like setting intentions for your key relationships, planning a specific meaningful act like that surprise date night or a can't say no day with the kid.
Or for work or other expressions.
Right. Maybe intending to bring calm presence to a difficult meeting or intending to practice deep listening with a friend. And crucially, actually scheduling that playtime. Block it out.
And then comparing plan versus actual time isn't about guilt, right? It's about awareness.
Exactly. Measuring your awareness. Comparing where you plan to spend your time and energy versus where it actually went isn't about achieving some mythical, perfect balance. It's about revealing where things often work are acting like Pac-Man gobbling the dots, consuming time you intended for other vital parts of your life.
And that lack of availability, whether physical or emotional, has a really damaging impact.
It does, on your relationships, including the fundamental one with yourself.
So really bringing it all back to the core message of Life Incorporated, you can't build a solid vision for your life anchored in thin air. You can't compartmentalize everything and just dust off areas later when you have time.
No, the work truly has to be done from the inside out. Cultivating that inner landscape, your physical well-being, your environment, that's the foundation. And aligning your inspiration and expression based on that strong base. External validation, achievements, they're fleeting substitutes for that deep internal wholeheartedness.
Wow. This has been a really deep dive into the powerful ideas from Life Incorporated, using that fantastic living tree metaphor to explore how cultivating our foundation, inspiration, and expression from the inside out is just, well, it's key to building a wholehearted, connected life.
It really is. And the source material offers such practical tools and models, all rigorously tested through the author's own intense journey. It just underscores that intentionality and attention are absolutely fundamental if we want to navigate the pressures and distractions we all face today.
And ultimately, it's a powerful reminder that lasting fulfillment, that deep sense of okayness, it doesn't come from the outside, from achievements or what other people think. It comes from that intentional inside-out cultivation of our own lives.
So maybe here's a thought to carry with you from this deep dive. As you go about your day or your week, could you consider just one element from the foundation, your inner life, your physical well-being, or your environment, and simply notice it with a little more intention? Just pay attention to it.
Or perhaps the next time you feel that physical sensation of struggle or tightness or agitation bubbling up in an interaction, just pause for a second. Ask yourself, okay, wait, is my intention here primordial? Am I looking for something outside myself right now?
Or can I choose to embody a transcendent intention instead, drawing from within?
Yeah. Even just noticing that distinction, making that brief inquiry, that could be the first powerful step towards shifting your entire experience.